Will Sebastian Mins still be able to take it on the inside? That remains to be seen, because on the inside line we will have this young man, Sandro Perez, the Spaniard with his Birrelat machine from the MDC competition, one of the fastest in Friday's qualifying. He's been superb with a fifth and victory in yesterday's qualifying heat, and as well as the super heat. The victory in the super heat gave him the pole position for one tiny point on Sebastian Mins on my left, the young British driver from KR Sport, with third place overall in the qualifying heat, third place in the super heat this morning. That was enough to put him in front alongside Sandro Perez, and there's going to be a fantastic showdown on the way to turn number 1. On round number 2, watch out for some of the other protagonists of the junior category, with the drivers aged between 12 and 14 years, as we have Raul Zensaren from Monlo competition on the inside. He's going to be able, or at least he will try anything possible to get the slipstream from Sandro Perez on the way to turn number 1. But watch out by his side on Freddie Lloyd from Fusion Motorsport, another strong British drivers, winner of a previous qualifying heat. So watch out for Freddie Lloyd, 10 overall in qualifying heat, second this morning, so a good progress, and is more than willing to confirm that here for the final of the junior class that will go through in just a couple of moments, with a distance of a total of 17 laps, 15 for the mini that we had before. Let's go furthermore into the grid, as we have here a strong driver from Belgium, Thibaut Ramakers, as well as by his side we have Jensen Graham. That's all we have time for. Less than 1 minute. Here we go for the start of the junior final here in Valencia.
Thank you very much, Graham Alvarez, who now clears the grid as we get ready for the Junior X30 final. Again, 36 drivers in this category. We whistled them down from well over 50 drivers over the weekend. And again, the front row, two very quick drivers over this one. Sandro Perez and Sebastian Mins. Spain versus UK. And it's the same on the second row as well. Raul Zensaren and Freddie Lloyd also on that outside row, looking like you want to be on that inside row. We've seen it all the way throughout this weekend. So Raul Zensaren probably in one of the most favourite spots on the grid. We saw Freddie Lloyd go from third place into the race lead before they even made it to turn 1 earlier on today. The whistle blows and the karts make their way off. It's Junior X30. It's the final. Here is how they are going to line up for their very long race. Here we go then. Sandro Perez will start on pole position with Sebastian Mins alongside Raul Zensaren, and Freddie Lloyd go from row 2 with Thibaut Ramakers and Jensen Graham rounding out the top 6 on row 3. Thomas Quince and Noah Monterio go from row 4 from Harrison Mackie and Jevra Bureska. Remember the bet that Harrison Mackie's got with his brother. He could end this weekend with a bald head if he doesn't win. Tyke Butley and Cathal Clark, they go from row 6 with Vilma Sven and Hugo Marti rounding out row 7. Toby Gale and Daniel Delacan round out row 8 with Sasha Van Padpod and Harry Bartel going from row 9. Matthias Reiber and Marius Barryberg round out the top 20 on row 10 with Elvis Cavaraskis and Romeo Russell rounding out row 11. Rocco Coronel and Joseph Smith on row 12 with Austin Gale and Hugo Manas rounding out the top 13 rows. Timo Koopmans and Alexei Constant round out row 14 with Angelina Parenka and Daniel Mota rounding out the top 30. Thomas Breda and Arthur Didonka go from row 16 with Matt Corby and Tyron Kinnard on row 17. Thomas Gomez and Alexander Dahlstrom round out the 18 rows of this grid. So the race is about to get underway, and as we pull out a cable from a microphone port, we'll get Graham Alvarez back in the commentary box and we'll get it all sorted out. But what a final we've got ahead of us. The races all the way throughout this one have been brilliant. The juniors have provided some absolutely class racing throughout the day, and let's see what they can do with the final. If you thought that the Mini X30 final was exciting, you've seen nothing yet, ladies and gentlemen. I'm very much looking forward to this one. Guillaume will check that you are with us. Are you with us?
Yes, I think I'm back in the box. So let's have a look at what's going to happen during the 17th lap of the X30 Junior Final under the sunlight of Valencia. We've had the time to show you up close some of the protagonists onto the track, but there's more than one name that can go for the win, certainly. And let me remind you that not only Glory will be battling the drivers this weekend, but also for big prices and driver packages and entries for the upcoming IAME Euro Series. So there's plenty at stake, plenty of prices up to 30,000 euros, and one driver actually from MDC going a bit wild on the way to turn number 13. I don't know what it was about, but watch out not to make any unwise move on the way to the red line. Once you cross it, no overtaking allowed, and the drivers now make their way onto the starting grid. Our race director Martin Bean waiting for them in order, and it seems to be the case this time around.
Let's go then into the tram lines. Is it green flag first time? Yes, it is. Here we go. Tuck it in and get it down to the inside line as they go in towards turn one. Sandro Perez holds the inside line and maintains the race lead. Oh, and a big one in the mid-pack and 3 karts involved and off into the barriers. It's one of the victory lane, and it looks like an MDC car as well. It is the 2-0, the 20 who comes back onto the track, but albeit at the back of the grid. That was Javier Buesca.
Yeah, big crash, big hit over there, and a pile of positions lost. Seems to be quite okay for the rest of the field as we're waiting for the conclusion of the opening lap. 17 to go through for the senior final, and watch out, Sebastian Mins going aggressive onto the curve into turn number 12. Watch out of the exit. Yes, he can take advantage. Hopefully on Thibaut Ramakers, the Belgian, a little bit on the outside and cannot defend his position. He shuts the door because behind he has strong resistance of the 41. This is Thomas Kinsey, the pole sitter on Friday. Didn't go through the best of qualifying heats, Thomas Kinsey. He was starting from further back on the grid on the 16 at the end of yesterday's races. But now he's more than ready certainly to fight back. And there he's going to try to do it, but not quite yet, as he lost the place to Jenson Graham. In the meantime, the driver from Fusion Motorsport made his way through and is chasing now Thibaut Ramakers.
Here we go then. So that's been an excellent entry lap then. Here's have a look at what happened earlier on. We said there was 3 drivers who initially went off then. One of the victory lanes. Yeah, Cathal Clark. It was. And then someone just going off in sympathy in the background as well. Yeah, Cathal Clark, another driver involved. Marshall's quickly on the scene though to get the barrier sorted out, and the race continues as down the inside goes Thibaut Ramakers on Raul Zanzardin. Zanzardin fighting back and says, no, thank you. Yeah, I'll take that position back. No problem at all. And they continue their final adventure on the chase of Sebastian Mins. But Sandro Perez, though, leads the way, and that gap is about a second now that he's got from Sebastian Mins. So Sebastian clouting that inside curve there behind the 2 that were battling further behind of Zanzardin and Ramakers. You've then got 3 of the Fusion drivers line astern. You've got Mackie, you've got Lloyd, and you've got Graham line astern, and they're trying to get involved in this scrap now as well, as down the inside looks the number 22 of Jenson Graham. Fails to get the move done, slots back behind, so the Fusion trio will have to work together here to try and close that gap. But now it's time for the number 51. It's time for Freddie Lloyd to have a go, and Harrison Mackie goes through as well. So Jenson Graham being squeezed to the back of the trio. Lloyd giving the thumbs up there, just saying, right, let's think, let's go, let's close the gap. Right now, no one can seem to match the pace of Sandro Perez. That gap now over a second. 1.59 is the gap from himself and Sebastian Mins. And you saw Seb there. He turned around, looked, and then shook his head.
And you could see as well Thibaut Ramakers, the driver in P3, working a bit on the cooling of his engine, and he needed apparently less cooling for the engine to get running, maybe certainly higher. Watch out for Thomas Kinsey, was trying to go around the inside. The 142 does that. Hugo Marti just overtook Jason Graham for P7. Beautifully made, but Graham from Fusion is fighting back into the chicane, and he make it through brilliantly. Thibaut Ramakers, fastest lap in this race, the Belgian driver, just 2 tenths down from Sebastian Mins. That's going to be interesting. The battle for P2 is slowly but firmly taking place. And we're going to keep following that with great interest. Hopefully, maybe those 2 can work with each other. Around the inside goes the driver from Parle in Spain, Hugo Martin. Oh, a little bit of a push over there by Jenson Graham, trying not to be eaten alive by the rest of the field, including Sacha van Patbosch and Thomas Kinsey. All those drivers glued together in the same footage. Pretty interesting. And let's see how this package of drivers will do business around the inside. Oh, and the contact. Sorry, my apologies. Was clipping the curb a little bit for Jenson Graham, that gets back into P7. Sacha van Patbosch goes defending, and Thomas Kinsey has nowhere to go behind.
Yes, indeed. This is getting exciting further back, but it's good news for the drivers at the front. It's bad news for these guys because they are just keep falling down the order. They keep losing time to the rest of the field. Is that Taron Kennard coming through? The 27 No, it's not. It's Daniel Dalica. Very similar livery, I think, both for the Pantano team. So, yeah, I got a little bit confused there as, Canada's got the yellow helmet, of course, hasn't he? So as they go through there, this is back near at the front. Now, this is the 51 of Freddie Lloyd, who's caught up to the back now of Rausen Zaren. This is for a little further down in the order. That is for 4th and 5th place. They are battling. You can see there, you can still see Sebastian Mins in 3rd place now because he's been overtaken from Thibaut Ramekers. Ramekers now up into P2 and is wanting to close that gap. The gap has come down less than a second now. It was over a second earlier on, so this could be heating up as down the inside. Change for 4th place as Freddie Lloyd overtakes Rausen Zaren.
You were mentioning earlier, Tyron Kinar is still doing a good job. One of the Pantano Racing Team drivers is all the way down within the middle pack in P19, but having climbed 15 positions on his way up. So let's keep an eye as well on the Belgian hopeful. Sandro Perez in the meantime, as we're going to watch back the battle further back. This is indeed from the 51 of Freddie Lloyd getting ahead of Rausen Zaren. Fantastic piece of racing. It was the number 18 indeed, the Spaniard, was overtaken for P4. As we're back here with the number 3, Thibaut Ramakers under the pressure of Sebastian Mins. This is a battle for P2. Ramakers has never been in such a good position. He was P4 last year in that very class for his first attempt at the Winter Cup. Now he has a shot at going for the podium, the prizes and the glory for his season, another season with the VDK colors. The Sebastian Mins has other ideas in mind. He wants that podium as well. He might have it as long as he keeps himself from the return of Freddie Lloyd, because Lloyd can see him. You know, Sebastian Mins is there for the taking as long as being a little held up by Thibaut Ramakers in terms of respective lap times. Ramakers was 57.7 and Sebastian Mins a little bit, but a tiny bit faster on the previous lap. Pretty much on the same performance, but you can see that Sebastian Mins is looking for the opportunity, looking for the open door that Thibaut Ramakers will certainly not give him.
No, exactly that. Of course, we are nearing the half race distance mark. 17 laps in this race, so plenty of time left to make positions. You're watching on your screen here the number 3 seed, Thibaut Ramekers, as he makes his way around the final corner with Sebastian Mins very closely behind. Checks over the shoulder, does Mins, just to see what's going on behind him. He can see Freddie Lloyd, though, the 51 Fusion Motorsport driver from the UK, trying to gain ground, and I think he will gain ground here because a little wide there was Sebastian Mins through turn 1, gets it back on the straight and narrow and tries to close it up as Thibaut Ramekers, again fastest lap of the race, is closing in on Sandro Perez. Perez, who we've not spoken about for a few laps here, is now being caught by 2nd place. As Alexander Dahlstrom gets a warning flag, the number 40, who's currently sitting in 28th place. He's gained 8 places. I suspect he's going to lose them when he finishes this race. As again, we watch Ramekers try and close that gap. Every sector he goes, he improves, he gets faster and faster, and the gap is now down to 0.6 of a second. This is going to be interesting. If he can close that gap to Perez, he could potentially bring the rest of the field into play here as they exit out of the final corner. 8 laps are completed. We go on to lap 9.
Sandro Perez, at some point we thought that it was going for good with more than 1 second advantage on the rest of the field, but things actually might start turning around with Thibaut Ramakers and Sebastian Mins still working well together under the close watch of Freddie Lloyd. Not so many changes at the moment to the top 10. Sacha van Paat-Bosch just made his way up to P8 in front of Hugo Marti, in front of Harry Battle. As well in the middle with Freddie Lloyd still with Rausen Zaren in P5, Harrison Mackie in P6. Remember what we talked about concerning Harrison Mackie, you know? I was led to believe that he was supposed to win to avoid shaving his head.
Yes, that is the bet he's got with his older brother Lewis Mackie. Unfortunately, it looks like it is going the way of Lewis Mackie. I think what we'll do is we'll just grab him and pin him down and shave his head anyway.
I want to be there for that.
Yeah. Harrison will appreciate this. Don't worry, Harrison, we've got you back. Here we go then, lap 10 begins, 7 laps to go then in this race, and once again Perez still leading the way from Ramekers. Ramekers, that gap still 0.6 of a second, it is closing, and he is constantly setting faster times after faster times, but it is not quick enough. He's going to have to pull something out of the bag here to try and close that gap. Visibly on the screen, it is closing. Visibly out of the commentary box window here at the circuit, I can see that it is closing as well, and the timing seems to agree as well. Here we go then, Sebastian Mins, though, not managing to latch onto the back of Ramakers as much as he'd like. He is matching the pace, but he's not closing the gap, because he's going to have to be careful of Lloyd and Zanzaren, who's on a recovery drive back to reclaim some of the places he was in a few laps ago. But again, the screen here just showing that those two are working together, not battling fully, so they're not losing the time. But like I say, I think they're more matching the pace. When you get into this sort of rhythm, you get into the rhythm of the driver in front, meaning that you don't gain anything, but you don't lose anything, and it's hard to get out of that.
Yeah, these are long races with less than 7 laps to a checkered flag, so plenty of things can still happen, and it gets on the nerves of the drivers, being stuck, as you said, for too long onto the track and not being able to, find a bit of space and really get away from the pressure. But the focus is there, and it needs to stay high until the checkered flag, because any position drop, any lack of concentration could mean indeed some sort of consequences as well. You might lose a big result you've been building the entire weekend. The number 18 of your picture is Zanzaren, still chasing Freddie Lloyd. There's a battle for P4, certainly the most cruel of all places in motor racing. They're not far away from the podium potentially as they make their way into the chicane, but still no way to go. Oh, there was soon maybe a little bit of a push over there to the braking zone of the chicane. Nothing to be too frustrated about, but that's another sign from Zanzaren that Freddie Lloyd doesn't need. He needs to stay awake, I was going to say, because the Spanish driver is ready to take him, to catch him napping. Romeo Russo, unfortunately, picking up a warning flag, the number 26. Let's see where he is, all the way down into the classification, I'm afraid.
P14.
For the driver, P14 indeed. Thank you very much, Anthony. As we see once again what happened at the chicane.
Yes, indeed, yeah, into the braking zone. Just a gentle love tap there, just to remind Freddie Lloyd that Zanzaren's there. There he is, just like, I'm still here. Hurry up, let's push this stuff along. I want to catch these guys, I want to have a good battle. Hand gesture behind there, just saying, yeah, okay, I got your message, let's go. Sorry, I'll go a bit faster now, and yeah, we'll try close that gap. Sebastian Mins, bit of a no man's land there, as well as Harrison Mackie, who's in 6th place, all on his own. He's nowhere near the back. There you go, you can see him in the background there. No one behind him, no one in front of him, just pooting around on a nice Sunday drive.
Yeah, beautiful Sunday drive indeed for the drivers in the front. But watch out for Ramakers. He's being very strong indeed, progressively through the ranks of the competition ever since. He was 7 in qualifying, 8 at the end of qualifying heats. Managed a superb P5 into the super heat this morning. That put him in an ideal position, and now he has his best shot at winning what would be one of his strongest achievements on the international scene. Thibaut Ramakers that last year was competing in the FIA karting competition. He did the Academy Trophy as well for Belgium, and came very, very short last season to win the Belgian Championship title in the IAME Series Benelux. It all went down to the wire in the Mariembourg, and I was lucky to be there to commentate. And once again, Ramakers is finding himself in the same position of doing everything that he can. In Mariembourg he won, but what happened behind him was out of his control. Here he has his own destiny between his hand, in his own hand, and the wheel. And he still has a couple of laps to try to go for the move and really get to Sandro Perez, that has been absolutely untouchable and impeccable in terms of driving, we must say. He all started in qualifying. He's been, strongly building up every race out there, his ambitions, and after a good start, he was up there and pretty much untouchable. And it all goes down to the Spaniard as well, willing suddenly to emulate Aaron Garcia and the other Spaniard drivers before him that have won the Winter Cup.
Exactly that. But we know that Sandro Perez is good in these sort of tense situations. Take your mind back to the super heats earlier on, where he was fighting off 2 of the victory lane drivers, Sacha Van Bosch and Cathal Clark, as a change for 3rd places. Down the inside goes Raul Zanzaren onto Sebastian Mins. Sebastian immediately fighting back, and down the outside, and switching positions left, right and centre goes Freddie Lloyd, trying to find any position he can, but Sebastian Mins back down the inside, holds on to 3rd place, but not for much longer, as again Zanzaren fights back fiercely and dives back down the inside through turn 3. Again, Mins hugging that inside line, clipping the apex as much as he dared, But again, Lloyd not managing to find the gap to capitalise on this. They have lost the front two now. This is the battle for third, but the battle for first still rages on, and as well as this one. Down the outside once more, Sebastian Mins goes. He can't quite find the gap. There's a bit of lift-off oversteer there as he goes in. It hooked onto the curb and the back stepped out. That's going to give Freddie Lloyd an opportunity here now to get the run, but he's not going to do it. He's just seen there. He said, no, you go for it. I'm not going to fight you. I'll go the opposite way of where you go. Here we go then. Round the final chicane they go, and it's all fine and dandy, but down to the inside looks Freddie Lloyd. Can't find it. Zunzanin goes defensive through turn one, but again, Sebastian Mins switches to the outside. Oh, a bit of contact between the two of them, and Mins goes through. Sebastian Mins goes through into third place, but once again, Zunzanin back down the inside at turn three. Carbon copy of what they did on the lap before, and now here comes Freddie Lloyd back round the outside to try and get the switch back through. No, he can't find the position. These three are battling for the last spot on the podium, and again, Sebastian Mins hugging that inside line. Here comes Freddie Lloyd. No, he can't do it. Sebastian Mins side by side with Zunzarin for the last spot on the podium, and down the inside. No, he can't do it. Zunzarin just had the momentum there to hold on to the space, and again up and over, and Sebastian Mins, his chances of a podium are out now, and he's down into about fifth place. He goes behind Mackie. Mackie now getting involved in the 21, and Freddie Lloyd moves up into P3.
Such a disaster for Sebastian Mins, all the way down to P6. Watch out, it's the final lap. Tibor Ramakers is going for it. He tried on the outside, a little bit of a push over there. There was nowhere to go on the other side of the track. This is the battle for the win. Oh, contact!
Oh, Sandro Perez getting huge contact from Ramakers there, and it looked like the Spaniard's race was nearly over. He's still there in second place, but that nearly ended in tears for the Spaniard. What on earth is he going to be thinking underneath that helmet? What is Ramakers going to be thinking underneath that helmet? But right now he's leading the way. The number 31, that looks like one of the Gale brothers is off the track and looking like he'd be in a bit of discomfort. Hopefully he is okay. But Ramakers there in the number 3 leads the way as they go into the final section of track. Onto the back straight, checks over the shoulder, and the coast is clear. Not much he needs to do here apart from just make the last corner and see the checkered flag, and he will do just that then. Out of the final corner, Timo Ramakers for Belgium crosses the line to win the Junior X30 final in the IAME Winter Cup in 2023 at Valencia.
Fantastic performance from the two drivers, and what a final that was. Pushing the air with his fist in rage and in contentment. We must be happy, Tibor Ramakers, for the performance after 17 laps of observation. It was a very tactical final that went down to the wire between its two main protagonists, split by a full, pretty much a second onto the line. But that was a hectic final, wasn't it? And just after we saw the couple of contacts from Sebastian Mins in his quest to finish on the podium, unfortunately he actually tumbled down the way. Sebastian Mins outside the top 10, I'm afraid, all the way down. So quite a disappointing turn of event for Sebastian Mins. And as we didn't have enough, unfortunately, a quick contact between Tibor Ramakers and Sandro Perez decided the fate of this race. So the Belgian driver is picking up his first major victory on the international scene, as he's watching over his shoulder to see where the rest of the drive is. Here's a full classification as we're going to see the replay. First, Sebastian Mins, and the disaster for the British driver who was just too ambitious. He was just too close for comfort into turn number 12. There was no way to go. Here's the classification in full for you guys, with Tibor Ramakers in front of Sandro Perez. Then we have Freddie Lloyd, Raoul Tinsaren, Sacha Van Panbosch in P5. Good recovery, 12 positions gain for the Dutchman, followed by Hugo Marti, Thomas Kinsey, Jenson Graham, Daniel Dalakian. P10 is Harry Bartley from Silver Svan, Mathis Riba, Toby Gale, Romeo Roussel, Noah Montero in P15, and P16 for Carl Clark.
Yes, indeed. Marius Berryberg then crosses the line in P16, as there has just been a change of one of the positions there. Alexis Constant moves up into P17 then from Tyron Kinnard. 16 places gained. Fantastic running for the Belgian driver. Finishes the race in P18.